And good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back to our Sutta Discovery series, where we're going to be doing our 19th day. We have one more day to go, and then we are done with the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta. And BGF will let you know for the next Sutta after probably taking a couple of weeks of break. So before we get started, our 19th day, let's pay respect to the book. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. All right. We left up at 167 section of the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta. You can go back to the text over here. See text. So we left up our discussion in our last class at the place where we understood how Tiparivatta and Dwadasakara work within the Noble Eightfold Path. And we said that in order to understand the Four Noble Truths, one has to understand that particular Noble Truth as a knowledge. And then one has to know the actions to be taken. And then there is a certain place thereby you are attaining, where you can measure the growth of that particular noble truth in your life. So we left up at 117, number 117 over here. And then from today, we are going to go from here. Venerable Kondanya becomes a Sotapan. So we are supposed to do up until 167, I think. Yeah, 67. Yeah, almost 167. That means go up until the Deva section, not the Brahma one. Huh? That means there is a certain cry that was made by divine beings. Now we are only looking at by the end today how Devas, disseminated that cry. Yeah. And then I think it has to be up until here, 167. So next Tuesday, we can discuss from 168 to the end. Yeah, so Sutta will be finished by that time. So from 118 today, yeah, let's understand what is happening. Idama vocha Bhagava, the blessed one said, Bhagavad, the blessed one, the one who uprooted Raga, Dosa, Moha. Raga, Dosa, and Moha. It's Bhagavad. Attamana Idama vocha Bhagava means the Buddha explained the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta to the 5 ascetics, venerable monks. And then having listened to the Dhamma sharing, Panchavagya Bhikkhu Attamana. They were happy. Abhinandati means happy. At the same time, Attamana Panchavagya Bhikkhu. They were uplifted and rejoice in what the Buddha said about dukkha. And then what's happening is that what happened to Anya Kondan, the monk Kondan. Imasmin chapana Veyyakarnasmin Banyamani. Veyyakarnasmin means this discourse. Banyamani means was being spoken. Ayasmatu Kondanyas. So, Venerable Kondanya went through a certain state of mind. Of course, this is none other than Sotapatti. This is Sotapatti. Sotapatti. And that Sotapatti, the state of Sotapatti has been explained this way. Viraja, Vitamala, Dhammacakkapavatthana. Viraja. What is dust free? This is a very usual translation. People might be confused. Dust. Now, Rajam means kilesas. So the absence of kilesa is considered as Virajam. Rajam means being defiled. Virajam means undefiled, I would say. Another good word, undefiled. Some people translate this to be dust free. And Vita Mala. Mala is another word for the akusala. Mala. Actually, mala means rust. Rust. No, the rust. When a certain item is being rusty, it's very difficult to use that in the long term, right? So now Dhamma is bringing the metaphor of rust to the akusala. So then our minds are rusty all the time, rusty from those unnecessary things, especially kilesas. Now here Vitamala. Vitamala means absence from rust of akusalas. Now this is what we understand by Sotapatti. When you are becoming a Sotapanna, you are going to be initially free from kilesas. And kilesas, which are also called as rust. But don't think that you are attaining Nibbana. Entering into the path, Sotapatti, is also considered as a place where you are making the way to the Nibbana. Of course, you understand that. But when you see Virajang Vitamalang, you might think that he might have attained Nibbana. But when somebody enters into Sotapatti, that means their rebirth is definitely cut short to 7 lives. Means they have already entered into the path. Although there are certain other fetters, samyojanas to be removed. That's why even the state of Sotapatti is being mentioned as Virajang Vitamanam. Don't be complicated with Arahant, the sort of adjectives for the Arahanta level. Even a Sotapanna level can be considered as a stainless, rustless, and that kind of a state. And Dhammacakkapavatthana. Now, when anyone is entering into Sotapatti, that moment of time of that person can be said that that person is having the Dhamma eye. Dhammacakku. Chakku means eye. Dhamma means Dhamma. How does that happen to someone who is going to become a Sotapanna? Because of the cause and effect. What does it mean? Paticca samuppada. You can see here, yang kincha samudaya dhammam, whatever it is subject to origin, sabbantang niruddha dhamma is all subject to cessation. Now, when you are entering into Sotapanna, your rubric, your main understanding about everything is this paticca. In short, cause and effect. Cause and effect, effect and cause. This is continuing. And then you are entering into the Sotapatti by having the Dhamma eye. Maybe we can talk a little bit about this area in another section here. Right. Dhamma eye. Now we have different eyes. Especially we have the naked eye. It's naked eye, we are seeing things from this naked eyes. But this naked eye is always, is it objective or subjective? The nature of naked eye. It is subjective. Our naked eye, whatever we are seeing through our naked eyes, they are mostly taking a stand of subjective. But when you got the Dhamma eye, things are going to be objective. You are going to see things as they are. Maybe you are going to see how things come to be. Right? So this is what happens when you are entering into Sotapanti. And your flashback of the state of mind. Everything you sum up your state of mind. Your state of mind is thoroughly and then fully rooted in the understanding of the Patisamuppada. In short, cause and effect. Everything is conditioned by something. And a person who is becoming a Sotapanna understand that this conditioning process has to be deconditioned. So that there is no cause and effect. I have to stop this cause and effect thing. Okay. So that is what is Samuppada. I think today we are going to discuss about Sotapatti. How to become a Sotapanna. This is interesting. Another thing I want to mention here in the Sutta is that Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta has a missing part. How do I say that there is a missing part? Because we find further information about what happened to Panchavaggiya Bhikkhu. In another place, in the text, Vinaya Pitaka's Mahavagga Pali, Mahakandaka. Mahakandaka is regarded as one of the very early texts of Buddhism, early Buddhism. Now, if you read the Sutta, Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta, there's no mention about what happened to the other four ascetics. Who are they? Vappa, Badhya, Mahanama, Assaji. We don't see what happened to them. Or did the Buddha ask them to go away? Or what happened to them? Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta only says, only Kondanya, monk Kondanya, became a Sotapanna. Actually, in the Mahavaggapali Mahakandaka, it clearly says it was first Kondanya who became a Sotapanna, then Vappa, then Bhaktiya, then Mahana, Assaji. So they all became Sotapannas. But the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta only mentioned that Anya Kondanya only became Sotapanna. Maybe it picked up only the first person and then left out with the rest of the things. So we have some of the missing information. So we have to find out from the other texts. They are not later texts. They are not Attakatha, commentaries or Abhidhamma. They are within the early Buddhist texts. So that has to be understood. So you don't think that only Kondanya became Sotapanna. The rest of the monks, they became Sotapanna gradually in a short span of time at the end of the Sutta. But it's not mentioned in the Sutta. All right. So, imasmin japana vijaya karnasmin panyamane, while the discourse was being spoken, ayasmato kondanya, Venerable Kondanya was virajam vitamala, dust-free, stainless. Dhammacakkum udapad. He got the Dhamma eye, not the, everybody has naked eye, but he then was able to obtain the Dhamma eye. What is the context of the Dhamma? What is included in the Dhamma? Yankincha samudaya Dhamma, sabbanta nirodha. If there is a certain origin, that origin must bring a cessation onto that. That means cause and effect. Parissamuppada is the main understanding about somebody's, what you call Sotapatti. All right, before we go into the cry, let me discuss something about Sotapatti. Now, what have you learned about Sotapanti? There are many information about Sotapanti. People are so much confused. Do you have to practice jhana to become a Sotapanti? How to become a Sotapanti? This is the most important thing that we all have to do. Forget about all the other things. Dana, Sila, Bhavana, all that. Our main, what do you call, the bare minimum, I would say, the bare minimum state of mind that we should attain, we should approach in our practice, in our whatever the practice is, to become a Sotapan. That is our prime goal. We don't have other goals. If you have other goals, then you are driven by other things. Huh? Now, what is Sota? Sotapatti or Sotapan. Let's go back again here. We can see Sota. What does Sota mean here? Sota. Any understanding about Sota? S-O-T-A. Sota means the Noble Eightfold Path. Now there are people say stream winner. What is the stream? No, upstream. Patisota. Patisota means going upstream. That means practicing the Noble Eightfold Path is going against the normal current, going against the mainstream. Why? Mainstream people are lying. They are backbiting, slandering. They may do other bad things too, right? So you are going against the, what do you call? Downstream, not anusota. You are going patisota, upstream. So when someone enters into the sota, that means that person is entering into the Noble Eightfold Path. So I'm going to show you a sutta for that. I think with that, you will understand this information much better. Right? I'm going to show you the Pali. Yeah? Better to learn some Pali. And then I will translate. Okay, Dutiya Sariputta Sutta. This is Samyutta Nikaya 55.5. There is a separate Samyutta about how to become Sotapan. Here you can understand. Atako ayasma sariputto yena bhagavatina upasankami. Bhante Sariputta approaches the Buddha. Upasankamitva bhagavantam abhivadetva ekamantan siddhi. He, having saluted, he took a seat on a side. And then ekamantan nisinnaku ayasman sariputta. Bhagavata, the Buddha is questioning from Arhan Sariputta. Sotapatti anga hidang sariputta bucchati. Katamannuko sariputta sotapatti. There are people who are talking about Sotapatti. Then the Buddha asks, what are the prerequisites of becoming a Sotapanna? Maybe I think I'm going to go to the translation. Much easier, I think, for you. This is much better. Okay. Let's see here. Sariputta, they speak of a factor of stream entry. What is a factor of, better to say factors here, this translation. Factors. What are the factors of stream entry? The fact, see, the translation again was factors of stream entry. These are the 4 things that you need to have as prerequisite. First one, second one, third one, and fourth one. This translation looks to be a little poor. Let me translate properly. The first one is associating with true persons. What does it mean? Kalyana mittas. In order to become a Sotapanna, you need to associate Kalyana mittas. Kalyana mittas are those who can motivate us to understand true Buddhism, especially the objective version of Buddhism. In this society, there are many people who are having subjective Buddhism, or their own opinions. Isn't it? They have their own opinions. We call it subjective Buddhism. If you talk about subjective Buddhism, there are different versions. But here, what we understand, objective. objective Buddhism. That means we are looking at the truth as it is. So then being able to be surrounded with the Kalyana Mittas, those who can really guide us to that path. Okay, so that's number one. We need Kalyana Mittas. That means a solo practice cannot work here. That means you need to be surrounded by Kalyana. In another sutta, Buddha says there must have two Kalyana Mittas for us. One is the Buddha. Now, the other one you have to find out in your circles. If you have not been able to find out, it is okay too, because then at least you have the Buddha and teachings, you can practice. And then the second factor, prerequisite, listening to the Dhamma. Right? Listening to the Dhamma is very important. What does it mean? Parato Ghosha. In Pali we call Parato Ghosha. Right? Parato Ghosha means listening to the Dhamma. I think all you can see this. Parato Ghosha. This is the second requirement of becoming a Sota. It doesn't say watching the Dhamma, okay? There's no such thing called watching the Dhamma. Listening to the Dhamma. Listening is the quickest way, fastest way to understand the Dhamma. Now, even you understand that when you watch a video for Dhamma talk, or at the same time, if you listen to the Dhamma from a CD, maybe kind of an audio version, that may have a difference. So, Parato Ghosha means listening to the Dhamma. Right? That means if you are not listening to the Dhamma, if you have ignored that practice, that is not good. That is a main prerequisites. Third is Yoniso Manasikara. This translation is very poor. Rational application. Rationalization does not always work. It's a wise attention. Wise attention is what you call Yoniso Manasikara. What does Yoniso Manasikara mean? Yoniso Manasikara. Very interesting. Yoniso Manasikara. This is also a requirement if you want to become a Sota. Yoniso Manasikara. Wise attention. That means being able to see anything from its original place. That means not looking at the process, fermented understanding about anything. Being able to see from its origin. Now, normally we are looking at everything from certain areas of the problem. It's like an iceberg in the ocean. We only see the tip. We only see the tip above the sea level. But the iceberg is having a lot of area of the iceberg below the sea. In the same way, when we are dealing with the problem, when we are seeing something, we normally don't pay much attention to the overall problem. If we pay attention to the overall problem, we could have solved many problems in our life. We could have kept a lot of people in our life. Right? So, wise attention means Yoniso Manasikara is very important in becoming a Sotapanna, because you are understanding everything from its origin. That's the third one. Fourth one, very important. Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada, practicing in line with the teaching. In line with the teaching. That's correct. This translation is okay. Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada. There are people who listen to a Dhamma talk, and when they practice in their own custom tailored. They listen to the Dhamma talk. They say, no, I can't do that. I do my own way. You think this is a basis of the way you are making in your own way? You have to understand how it was given in the proper. You can't strip out. You can't remove the main elements of that teaching. So, Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada. You listen to a Dhamma, proper Dhamma, true Dhamma. Okay? and you are following in the same way how it was given by the Buddha. So these four things are the Sotapatti elements, prerequisites of becoming a Sota. First one is Parato Gosha, listening to the Dhamma. Then second is Kalyana Mittata, noble friendship. Third one is Yoniso Manasikara, wise attention. Wise attention means, I know you are muted and you can't write anything, but keep your questions till the end. Yoniso Manasikara means being able to understand anything in your life from its origin, from the fuller version, from the complete version of the problem. Don't take it from a fractional understanding. People who take it as a fraction and they are going to decide things. You are not doing that. You are trying to see the whole thing, get a good sense of the problem. There you have the wise attention. Now, when we are getting angry, are we really giving that wise attention? If we had given wise attention, we would have not come up with any akusala state. Every time when you come up with an akusala state, you call it, you name it, jealousy, or annoyance, grief, frustration, you have not fully seen that problem. If you had seen the full problem, you would have come up with wise attention. You only so much. Then, if you are not giving full attention, the full complete spectrum of the problem, then what is the thing that coming up with you? Ayoniso manasikara, unwise attention. Let me write that for you. This is the opposite. Ayoniso manasikara. Call it unwise attention. You don't need to worry about it. We always have it. This is what we have all the time. Ayoniso manasikara. We only see a spectrum of the problem. Spectrum of the problem. That's why we are into arguments. We are into different other mental states, negative mental states, akusala mental states. All right. So these are the four things. Now, what we understand is Kondanya, Monk Kondanya, had all these four in becoming a Sotapanna. Then you might ask, how come? Okay, let's say he listened to a Dhamma talk here, Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta. What about his Kalyana Mittata? Did he get Kalyana Mittata? Was he able to have some Kalyana Mittas? Yes, he was able to listen to Dhamma talk under the Buddha, in front of them. Then what about wise attention? Yes, he had. That's why he was able to see everything from a Paticcasamuppada perspective. And finally, Dhamma Patipatti. That means he has been able to practice in accordance with the Dhamma, in line with the Dhamma. Right? So that is why Anya Konnanya was able to become an Arahant, Sotapanna. And what happened at the end? Gradually, other monks became Sotapannas. Konnanya, Vappa, Bhaddiya, Mahanama, Asta. They all became Sotapannas. But that fact is not mentioned in the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta. It is mentioned in the Vinaya Pitaka's Mahavakapali's Mahakkhanda. It's clearly given those information. And let's see the notes. So see some other information. Right. You can see some information about 19 day. You have one more to go. And you can see about Anya Kondanya, some information. He's not a new person, actually. He was one of the 8 Brahmins. Others being Rama, Dhaja, Lakkana, Manti, Bhoja, Swayam. They were Brahmins. If you can remember Prince Siddhartha's life story, there was a naming ceremony. We call them Jati Mahotsava. And for that Jati Mahotsava, there were certain Brahmins that were called upon. Most of them, almost all of them except Kondanya, told the King Suddhodana, he may make 2 choices. If he will stay in the house, palace, he will become a Chakravarti king, which is one of the ideal concept about the kingship in Buddhism, as given in the Chakravarti Sutta. If he leaves the palace, he will become the Buddha, right? But Kondanya, the youngest Brahmin, said no, he would precisely become the Buddha. That is this same Kondanya. He knew somehow he would become the Buddha. But halfway of the journey, they left him because he started following the Noble Eightfold Path. So I just want to say he's the same Konnan. You can see more information. I just don't want to read all that. Okay, what is the link between becoming a Sotapanna and the rise of Dhammacakkapavatthana? I think we have discussed that. The Sotapanna is claimed to have an intuitive knowledge of the Dhamma. This wisdom is known as right view. Now we understand Kondanya, Vappa, Bhaddiya, Mahanama. So they all had this Sammaditthi at that point to become a Sotapanna. What does it include? The unwavering trust in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. We call it Aveccha Pasad. Aveccha means unwavering. Unwavering. Trust in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. The Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, which are frequently considered the triple gem, are also cited as objects of recollection. In general, however, firm trust, that means saddha, akaravati saddha, in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, regarded as one of the 4 prerequisites of stream meaning Sotapanna. This is also very interesting. In another place, in the same Samyutta Nikaya, it is said that it is very important to have saddha about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha to become a Sotapanna. The Sotapanna is said to have opened the eye of the Dhamma. Dhammacakkapavatthana means only when you become a Sotapanna, you properly open your eye of the Dhamma. Because they understood that whatever arises will end. Their trust in the true Dhamma would be unshakable at this moment. I think if you can read Karaniya Metta Sutta, if you can read Ratana Sutta in particular, you can see how does Sotapanna work in that. Sotapanna is more into the Sammaditthi, the starting point of the Sammaditthi. And you can see here the connection between becoming a Sotapanna and understanding the cause and effect. I'm not going to read that. It's too long. You can read that later. Dhammacakkapavatthana is here. This is a kind of a small thing to learn. Don't worry about it. We normally understand this Pali word. I think we should go to the text first to read a little bit more. See the text. Okay, now here, Kondanya became a Sotapanna. Then what happened? The deities and Brahmins cried. Okay, so now once monk Kondanya became a Sotapanna, there was a cry. Their cry means there was a certain, what you call, a trembling sound that was passed from the first Deva world onto the rest of the Brahma world. You can see, Pavattitecha Pana Bhagava Dhammacakke. Now, Dhammacakke means that now the Buddha, what you call, set the wheel of the Dhamma in motion, right? How did he set the wheel of the Dhamma in motion? Because then he started giving this Dhamma, the first person became Sotapanna. That is how we understand he started it. Bumma Deva Saddang Manusavis. The moment that Buddha was successful in making the first Sotapanna, then what happened? Bumma Deva made a sound. Who are the Bumma Deva? Bumma Deva. These are kind of Deva. They are the lowest Deva. Lowest. Don't worry about it. Lowest means there are different types of Deva. We call these Devas as divine beings who are living on the earth. They are not living in the sky. You can find out the same meaning of these devas in the Ratana Sutta. How do we know that? Yani the bhutani samagatani bhummani vayani vanta. Bhummani. Bhummani means all the terrestrial deva who are living on the ground. That means they are living with us. And there are other devas who are living in the sky. There are two types of devas. Now, the moment that they saw that the first disciple became a Sotapan to the Gautama Buddha, they made a sound. Maybe they were like shocked. What happened? They can't help not making a sound. I think it's a surprise. When you become surprised, you are making different exclamations, right? What happened? That kind of thing, kind of a shocking thing for them. What happened? All of a sudden, the first person became a Sotapan under Gautama Buddha. So this particular shocking sound, now it is passing to other Deva. See, first from the Bhumma Deva, Saddang, we call it a cry, surprising, maybe a surprising sound. And then, how did they make the sound? Etang Bhagavata Bharanasiyang Isipatani Mikadai Anuttaran Dhammacakkapavatthana. This particular Gautama Buddha being in the deer park at Isipatana in the Varanasi city, he what do you call Anuttaran Dhammacakkapavatthana. He set the wheel of the Dhamma in motion, which is the unsurpassed wheel of the Dhamma. Nobody can do it. Appativattiyang samanenava brahmanenava devenava marenava brahmunava kenjava lokasmin. Which cannot be. Appativattiyam means stopped by any other monk, any Brahmin, any Deva, any Mara, any Brahma. Nobody cannot turn it back. Now there is a problem here. The problem is with this Pali word, appativattya. I think we should discuss about it. I have put a note over here for that. Let me see the note. Go back again. Appativattya. A textual transmission issue. Yes, a small textual transmission issue because, most of the suttas, Majjhima Nikaya suttas, even Samyutta Nikaya and early Buddhist suttas have a Chinese parallel. You can see here, Appativattya means cannot be turned back. Now the wheel has been turned, nobody cannot turn it back. Appavattya, now here Appativattya, here Appavattya means cannot be turned. Another peculiarity of the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta in relation to the celestial repercussions, the cry of the Devas now started already. The turning of the wheel of Dhamma is that the Devas proclaim that this wheel cannot be turned back by anyone in the world. Where is it mentioned? Only in the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta Pali version. But most of the Chinese parallel versions instead indicate, you mean the Sangyuttagama, Sangyuttagama Sanskrit version, which has a counterpart of Chinese version, that this wheel had not been turned by others, or that others were unable to turn it. How come they are going to turn back? Because they are naturally not able to turn it. How come they're going to turn it back? The idea that others might try to interfere with the turning of the wheel is only found in the Dhammacakka Sutta. So what we understand is this could be the result of an error in transmission, whereby an original reading cannot be turned. Appavattya. If you don't understand yet, what is to be understood here is that this Dhamma wheel cannot be turned by anybody. Because only a Samma Sambuddha can turn it. But when you say Appativattya in Pali, Appativattya means nobody cannot turn it back. So Deva, Mara, Brahmin, Brahma, nobody cannot even turn it. How to turn it back? So this is a textual error. Because when it was preserved by oral tradition for many, many centuries, there are things that have come into the text. Now, let's say you understand something and you are passing this information to 5%. You are telling this to 5%. Maybe you say to someone, that person is another person, that one is going to say to another person. Fifth or sixth one might say a very different story, isn't it? So in normal life, it can happen. So we believe, especially scholars believe, Appativatya is a textual error. It has to be Appavatya because only Samma Sambuddha can turn it. Right? Others cannot even turn it. So how to turn it back? So it has to be Appavatya. So here we have to go to the text again. I will show you how the text was given here. Right? Okay, you can see it over here. Etang Bhagavata Varanasiyan Isipatani Migada Anutran Dhammacakkapavatthana Appativattiya cannot be stopped. How to stop? Ascetics, Brahmins, Deva, Mara, Brahma, they cannot do anything. They cannot even turn it. So it has to be Appavatiya, which cannot be turned. They cannot even not turn it back. Appavatiya. That has to be understood. Small textual error. And then what happened? Having heard the Bumma Deva sound, now the Bumma Deva means the lowest Deva. Then what happened? The sound was heard by the immediately higher world, Chatu Maharaj Deva. They overheard the sound, right? Then what happened? Now the sound is going further up. Same, I'm not going to explain. Etam Bhagavata Varanasiyam. Then we will see what was the next word. Chatum Maharajkanang Devanang Devanang Saddang Sutva Tavatin Sadi. Now we know the Deva words. Say Chatum Maharajika, then what you call Tavatinsa. You can see all the Deva worlds names now coming up. So Tavatinsa Deva also overheard this sound. Then after the Tavatinsa Deva world also made a sound. Then the sound was heard by Yamadev. See, Yamadev. Same information. Then Yamadeva also made the same cry because they felt something shocking and then as a surprise. Now the sound is going to immediately next word, Tusita. Right? And then the sound is going to the next one, Tusita to Tusitanand Devanand Saddam Sutta Nimmanavati. And then from Nimmanavati, the cry or sound went to the, what do you call, Paranimmita Vasavatti Deva. Right? Paranimmita Vasavatti Deva. That means the last heaven. So these are very interesting heavenly places. Chatum Maharajika Yama Tavatinsa Tusita Nimmanati Paranamita. So the cry went to all these heavenly worlds because Deva, all the Devas in these particular Deva worlds were surprised that how this Buddha was able to make his first Sotapan in his Buddha Sasana. Then what happened? Now the sound is supposed to go to the Brahma worlds, and we are not going to discuss that today because this is our last point for today. Paranimita Vasavatti Nandiyavana Satta Sutva, the sound then went to the first Brahma world. Let's go back again here. We have to discuss about the Deva worlds a little bit here. All right, you can see here in this particular recurring phase, you see, now we understood Appativati has to be Appavatya. Samanenava means any ascetic. Brahmanenava means any Brahmin. Devenava means any Deva. Marenava means Mara. Brahmanava means Brahman. Now, what does it mean in short? None of these people can make a Sotapan. Only a Buddha can teach, or maybe Buddha's teachings can only become the blueprint for someone to become a Sotapan. Others cannot. Any ascetic, any Brahmin, any Mara, any Deva, any Brahma. None of them can make Sotapannas. That is why it is said that Dhammacakka becomes the Dhammacakku of somebody. Right? So when the Buddha said the wheel of the Dhamma in motion, that means he has been successfully helped someone to become a Sotapanna. Right? Now you understand already what are the prerequisites for becoming a Sotapanna. Number one, Paratogusha. Listening to the Dhamma is very important. But we don't see meditation over here. Why? Where is the meditation over here? Tell me. You don't see meditation as a separate practice under the prerequisites of becoming a Sotapanna. Where is it? Now, when you listen to a Dhamma talk, it is easier to understand Dhamma rather than reading a Dhamma book. When you read the Dhamma book, you have your subjective problem. You read it incorrectly. Right? It doesn't mean that you are not supposed to read. You can read. I mean, it's easier. You are not wasting your time. Don't waste your time. Time is very important. So when you listen to a Dhamma talk, you understand clearer. And then Kalyana Mittas. And then wise attention. Wise attention is your meditation. Because Buddha always say, Yoniso Manasikara is the foundation of meditation. Why? When you have the Yoniso Manasikara, Sati will come to effect. Samma Sati will come to effect. So this meditation practice is rooted in the Yoniso Manasikara. Because what you are doing in the meditation is seeing your own akusala, right? Isn't it? When you are practicing meditation, what is happening here? You are trying to observe your own akusalas. Raga dosa moha, lobha dosa moha. So why don't you abort them? Why don't you dispel them at the beginning? By using Yoniso Manasikara, then you don't have to see anything. When you use Yoniso Manasikara, you are able to see the akusala at the infantry level, at the basic level. So then you don't have to see the full-fledged version of the akusala with the sati. Sati will be coming after that. Right? So Yoniso Manasikara is the prerequisite. Sati can also become sanya because you are bringing your own mindful understanding to the existing mental states. So then the last one is Dhammanudam Patipada. Try to practice the Dhamma in line with the Dhamma. That is very important. You have to find a good teacher. At the same time, you have to read a lot of suttas to understand, a lot of interesting, important suttas to understand the context of those Dhamma things. So that's why Monk Kondani was able to become a Sotapanna. Now the other thing, where is the jhana practice? Should we have to practice jhanas to become Sotapanna? Now what do you think? Have we not ever become devas, brahmas in our previous lives? We must have become devas, brahmas, even jhanic people in previous lives. And it is certain, it is clear that we were not become pure land brahmas. Why is it? There are certain brahmas. We will discuss next week. There are 20 Brahma worlds. Out of these 20 Brahma worlds, 5 of them are owned by the Pure Land Brahma. So if you were to become born in the Pure Land Brahma world, you would never come back here. You will die as an Arahant. You will become an Arahant. So now we are here. That means we must have been Brahmas. We must have been born in Brahma worlds except the 5 Pure Land Brahma worlds. So that means in our previous life, we have practiced our jhanas. So that sometimes, let's say, you look at a Buddha's, certain teachings, there were many people who they have never listened to a Dhamma talk. They have never visited a monastery before. They have never read the Dhamma book. There were no Dhamma books at that time, right? They went to the vihara and then they listened to a Dhamma talk. At the end of Dhamma talk, they became Sotapannas. How can it be possible? Because the Sotapanna journey is not a one-life journey. In previous lives, they have been cultivating, practicing. So in this life, they didn't have to practice jhana because in the previous life, in many previous lives, they had practiced a lot of jhanas. Or not. Their mind is so clear. So it is not very much necessary to have a jhana practice to become a Sotapanna. Maybe you have done it in a previous life. Because everyone is different. Everyone's Dhamma journey is very different. What is more important is whether you listen to a Dhamma talk, listen to many monks, good teachers, and then be surrounded by the true Kalyana Mitras, and then wise attention, more importantly, and then Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada, which means being able to practice in line with the Dhamma. So how do we know that you are learning the true Dhamma? Every time you hear a Dhamma talk, you can ask the Bhante, Bhante, where is this mentioned? If it is possible, not disrespecting the monk's Dhamma talk, you can ask. Then you're going to read by yourself. Then you're going to read some additional reading. Then you understand, I am getting to learn the true Dhamma, not somebody's opinions, not cultural Buddhism, not Sri Lankan Buddhism, not Thai Buddhism, not Burmese Buddhism, not Malaysian Buddhism. I am learning the true early Buddhism. Thereby, I am practicing the true Buddhism of the Buddha. This is how we are going to learn the true Dhamma in line with the Dhamma. Right? So, that's why you see there are people who went to certain Dhamma talks. Some people even went to listen to a Dhamma talk for money, like Anathapindika's son. He didn't like to go to the vihara. So father devised a plan. I think I already mentioned that to you, just to tell you, highlight. He said, I don't like to go to the temple because I have to sit down. Maybe for many hours. At that time, there was no 1 hour Dhamma talk. Right? This 1 hour Dhamma talk came into effect from Sri Lanka. There was one monk who gave a 1 hour Dhamma talk in 1930s or 20s. So then the SLBC, Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, said, we are having 1 hour Dhamma talks now. That's how this 1 hour Dhamma talk culture came in. Otherwise, the Dhamma talk was 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. It depends on how long can the Bhante continue the Dhamma talk. So that means at that time, when the Buddha started giving Dhamma talk, he might have not stopped. He might have been continuing till the audience become more aware about what he was telling. So Kala, Anathapindika's son said, no, I'm not going to go there. I can't sit down for long. And then Anathapindika devised a plan. He said, if you go to the vihara and then listen to a Dhamma talk, I would give you some money. He said, okay, I would go. So one day he went, he came back, he asked the money. And on the next day, Anathapindika was planning another strategy to get him to Dhamma. He said, today you have to go to the vihara. If you go to the vihara and can learn one Dhamma thing, not a lot of Dhamma things, only one Dhamma matter. Learn one Dhamma concept from whoever is giving the Dhamma talk in the vihara, and you come back and tell me, I will increase the, you don't call it a bribe, but incentive. Incentive that I'm giving to you. He said, okay. Then he went to the vihara. On that day, Buddha is giving a Dhamma talk. He knew what he's doing. He was sitting in the front of the Dhamma vihara, Dhamma hall. His plan is to catch the first Dhamma thing and then to forget about everything else. Because the promise was only to learn one small thing. And then Buddha knew that. He made him to not be able to catch one Dhamma thing. He made him to focus on the whole Dhamma talk. And at the end of the Dhamma talk, he became a Sotapanna who went to listen to Dhamma talk for money. How can someone who went to Vihara to listen to a Dhamma talk, just to learn one small Dhamma thing and go back and get money, become a Sotapanna? I think you would have never done that, right? That means the Kala, son of Anathapindika, must have done a lot of prerequisites in previous life. But in this life, for some reason, he had to go through a certain issue. Right? So that's why we should never condemn anybody in their practice. They may have the bodhicitta, they may have this understanding, but the right conditions have not arisen yet. So we have to help everybody that sometimes there is somebody who is going to Vihara every day, but their right conditions will never come. There is another problem. The Buddha said there are people who can never learn Dhamma. They go to the Vihara, they learn, but understanding will not arise. Why is it? They have done a lot of bad karmas in past life. Because of certain bad karmas, their understanding is not ripening. Maybe they have a lot of akusala states of mind in their thoughts. Because of that, they cannot digest the Dhamma. Or maybe they go to the Vihara and they want to look for the mistakes or the problems in the Dhamma talk. So these are, Buddha said, what you call impediments in not being able to understand. So the idea here is that, if someone wants to become a Sotapan, that one has to have these prerequisites. Uh, Either that person may have fulfilled them in a past life, or maybe over the course of many past life, or in this life. So this Dhamma journey is not a one-life Dhamma journey; it's a samsaric Dhamma journey. So here today, what we understand is that monk Konnanya became a Sotapan. And following to this Sotapatti of Konnanya, monk Konnanya, the other four ascetics also became Sotapanna, which was not mentioned in the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta, which is mentioned in the Mahavakkapali's Mahakandaka, Vinaya Pitaka. That was, maybe it was not recorded at this point, it was not added. And then once monk Konnanya became a Sotapanna, the closest devas to the human world, we call them a lowest deva, Bhuma deva, they were very shocked, surprised, they made a cry. This cry went from one heaven to the other heaven, and finally it reached up to the last heaven, which means the Paranimita Vasava. All right, because devas understood now at this point, Buddha properly set the Dhamma wheel in motion. Because the first Sotapanna came in. Right? So that's what we've been discussing today. I think now we can go for a Q&A. What we are leaving today for the next day is that what do you call maybe Tuesday, is that how did the Brahma worlds take the cry from the Deva world? That means when one Deva world made a cry, this cry is very easily transmitted into the next Deva world. And finally, it is going to the Brahma world, because this is the official place of the setting the Dhamma wheel in motion. All right, Sis Sonia, we can leave for a Q&A now. Yeah. Some refer to listening to Dhamma in Pali as Saddhamma Savana. Is there a difference between Partogosha and Saddhamma Savana as criteria to attain Sotapanna? Same idea, same meaning. But let's see the particular sutta which I showed you has the same translation. Let me take a look. Normally it is Partogosha. Yeah, this has Saddhamma Savana. In the sutta, Arhan Sariputta mentioned that to be Saddhamma Savana. But in many other suttas, Buddha says Partogosha. That means we have to listen to others, so-called good Dhamma teachers. Yeah, so there is no difference. In some places, it was given as Partogosha, in some other places, Saddhamma Savana. But please keep in mind, it is not watching the Dhamma talks, it is listening to the Dhamma talks. Because when we watch, we have sanya. We have to look at the Dhamma pulpit, the particular monk, audience. We have some other sanyas coming up. Today, the audio quality is not good, video is not good, surrounding is not good. So we may have some sanyas. So most importantly, it is about listening. The problem with remembering a Dhamma is due to previous akusala committed. One of the reasons, not the only reason. The Buddha talk about kammavarana, vipakavarana, akusala, kilesavarana. How do you overcome this then? Okay, it is by, let's say, someone is going to a vihara, but then the ripening of the Dhamma understanding is not happening. So what you can do is that you can fulfill these four prerequisites more and more. Let's say you are trying to bring wise attention to your life, then you will understand your akusalas. How does akusala construct in your mindset? So only by practicing and putting the prerequisites into practice, you can overcome. But sometimes even you do a lot of things you cannot. Maybe you have done a very bad karma in a past life. So then you are very much covered with that akusala karma. That's why some akusalas are very dangerous, right? They prevent you in understanding the Dhamma. It's like a hungry ghost, right? In the Peta world, one day one hungry ghost approached. Let me connect this idea. Approach the monk called Kottapada. This is from Petavattana. And then the hungry ghost told the monk, Arahan Kottapada, Bante, don't worry, I am a hungry ghost, Peta, not even me, I'm actually your brother. I'm your brother. And your father and mother also became Peta with me. So I'm brother and your father, mother, we three became Peta. Think about Arahan's mother, father, brother became Peta. What will happen to our people? Are you guaranteed about it? In the Petavattana. So then Arahan Kottapada asked, how can I help you? Then this brother Peta told him, Bante, can you give us some what do you call we are naked, so can you give us some clothes? Then he understood, so he gave a dan. He went for Pindapata, and then he asked some close devotees to donate some uh, robes. So he then donated back to some other sangha. And then the same night, the Peta appeared. Said, thank you for the clothing, but we have another problem. We don't have water. Then here, the Arhan Pottapa, why don't you go to the river next to this place? There's a river. When I go there, when we, Father, Mother, and I go there, this water will become blood. The water will become blood. So we cannot drink. So then the Arhan Pottapada, next day, he offered a filter, water filter to another monks. And then Peta again at the same night appeared in front of him. Then Peta said, thank you for the water filter. Now we have a problem. We don't have a place to stay. Now Petas also have a housing crisis. They have a housing crisis in the Peta world. So then he, Arhan Pottapada understood. So then he talked to close devotees. I want to make a small kuti, maybe a couple of kutis to other monks. And then he offered. And after a couple of days, Peta again reappeared. Then said, Bante, thank you for the housing. But now when we are walking, there are pebbles pricking on our sole, feet. Can you do something for that? Then he understood. Tomorrow, next morning, I have to offer some footwear, some sandals to some other monk. Then this Peta with his father, mother disappeared. Now, what is going on here? When you done a bad karma, you have to go through a lot of things. You can't bypass. You see the Dhamma, but you cannot embrace it. You see it. You can see that. but understanding is not happening. So that means try to avoid, and in case it is happening, you uh, try as much as you can with the wise attention. I think I get a lot of questions at the same time. Huh? Could you please kindly explain again on the textual error? You can see on the notes. I think the notes must have been shared by Brother An already. Yeah. Day 19, you can see. I would type this way for you. Okay. Now the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta says, Appati Vattiyam, which means cannot cannot be turned back. Okay. But the correct Pali wording should be Appavattiyam. Appavattiyam means cannot turn, because this wheel cannot be turned by anybody. So how to turn it back? These Deva, Mara, Brahma, Brahmi, they cannot turn it back, definitely. So then this is a transmission problem. When they have been preserving in oral tradition, somewhere in this oral tradition, something happened. All right. And then the next question is, who can be our Kalyana Mitra to guide us to the path? Does he, she need to be a noble person, Sangha, teacher, normal Dhamma friend? All right. So Buddha said that you should need two Kalyana Mitras at the very minimum. The first one is the Buddha. So we have to find out someone else. So you are asking a noble person. Sangha is, if Sangha teacher is a very good option. If you cannot find a good Sangha teacher, even a lay person, but better to find a Sangha teacher because they are practicing it, of course, higher than a lay person. Good teacher. So you can find a good Sangha teacher. I think that is the best option. In case you cannot find, at least you must associate wise people. They can guide you, motivate you in your practice. So mostly it can be a Sangha member. He or she can be a Sangha member. If you cannot find a Sangha member in your circle, even there may be a normal, but the problem is normal Dhamma friends cannot motivate you much. They can motivate you because they are also studying, right? They are also studying with you. So then you have to find out someone who have gone a little bit far, in this Dhamma journey. So then you are not wasting your time. You just say hi and bye and be with them. So if you find someone who has gone a little far in their Dhamma journey, their understanding, experience, so you are then gaining a lot of wisdom, right? So I don't think that, yeah, but while keeping other friends too. Can you please explain Yoniso Manasikara again? I still cannot understand the exact meaning. Yeah. It came to me as a direct message. Yeah? Yoniso Manasikara means being able to understand anything, everything in its origin or from its origin. From its origin means how did it start? How was it started? So that means if I give you an example, there is a problem in our life. So this problem should not be overlooked. This problem has to be fully understood. So in order for us to fully understand this problem, you are supposed to look at it from a larger, broader, full perspective. So that full perspective will help you to understand how did it start? How did this problem arise? So that is Yoniso Manasikara. At the same time, when some happy things have been happening in your life, try to use the Yoniso Manasikara. Yoniso means origin. Look at everything from its origin. Don't look at anything from its middle or maybe the effect of it. Try to see the cause, effect, and how they were connected. That is Yoniso Manasikara. So if you have Yoniso Manasikara, your problems can be cut short in 98%. Nobody says 100% security. Yeah, even these antibacterial things are saying 99% killing bacteria, isn't it? Never guarantee for 100%. But I would say most of your problems can be cut short if you bring Yoniso Mansikara to your life issues. Bhante explained what is the meaning of turning the Dhamma wheel. Okay, turning the Dhamma wheel is a metaphor. It's not that the Buddha is going to turn a very big Dhamma wheel. Huh? There's a very big wheel and Buddha is going to turn it like this. It's not, it's a metaphor. This metaphor has been given to understand that Dhamma has to spread everywhere. So Buddha has started that Dhamma wheel to work from that point when he made the first person Sotapan. Right? So turning the Dhamma wheel or setting the Dhamma wheel in motion means that he officially started, uh, being able to make the first Sotapanna in his Buddha Sasana. What is meant by turning? I have the same question. Thank you for sharing the Sariputta Sutta on how to become a Sotapanna. This is very important teaching that all yogis like us should be. Yeah. I think you should have been taught at the beginning of your Dhamma journey. Now I am teaching that because we are interacting at a certain place. Somebody should have taught you early in your Dhamma journey. But just because of that, it's not too late for you to do it. Because you understand they are prerequisites. Now when you do the prerequisites, you must have entered in the Sotapanna level, right? Why the Deva want to turn back the wheel? Because there are some bad, notorious Devas. That's why. They, they cannot actually. This is I told you. This is a textual problem, textual error. So not that they can turn back. They can't even turn it. None of these devas, brahmas, brahmin, samana, they cannot even turn it. So what is this turning back? Turning back, this Pali word called appativatyan is a textual error. Because nobody can make anyone sotapan. So then they cannot turn it. I told you that setting the Dhamma wheel in motion, turning the Dhamma wheel in motion is a metaphorical idea. It's not that Buddha going and then turning a very big wheel. Huh? There is no such thing as turning the wheel. Turning the wheel means that he is officially making someone sotapan because of his teaching as an effect. So Devas cannot stop it. Definitely, they cannot even turn it. Now the Devas can make anybody sotapan. Right? Panditananja sevana. Is this similar to associating with? Yes. But actually, Panditananja sevana is a basic teaching about who to associate, given in the Mangala Sutta. So, Kalyana Mitras are higher than the Panditas. Normally, it is said, Asevanacha Balana, not in the company with the Balas, unwise people, and then on the other hand, Panditananja Sevana, trying to be in the company of the wise people. But Kalyana Mitras are a bit more serious in their practice. There are some wise people who are not practicing Dhamma sometimes. So you have to whoever the friends you have in your normal life setup, they must be Panditas. At the same time, there may be certain somewhat serious people in Dhamma practice who can be considered as Kalyana. So I would say that they are a further significant layer of the Panditas. Can they give clarification? What is the difference between dust-free, stainless? Both seem also to get rid of. I think they are also certain similes or metaphors to say what is the Sotapanna state like. Raja means kilesas. Mala also mean kilesas. They both are referring to the defilements. So Viraja, Vita Mala means that someone is going out of being kilesas. Right? They are just what you call similar uh, adjectives about the Sotapatti level, entering into the Sotapatti level, right? You can't say that. Freeway, highway, they are similar. In Canada, they are two different things, isn't it, Sonia? You can't go to a freeway. So highway and freeway are two things. in Canada. But in other countries, it could be highway, freeway, maybe the same thing. So I would say Virajang, Vitamalang both refer to the absence of the kilesas. So then when you are becoming a Sotapanna, you are entering into a state of uh, where you don't have any more what you call kilesas. Otherwise, don't be caught up in the small literal translations about these two words. They say dust-free. What is dust-free? Stainless. It's like the Kukkutarama. The Kukkutarama, the temple name, there are many translators who have translated this to be chicken feet monastery. Kukkutara. Kukkuta means chicken feet. Right? You can't translate Kukkutarama to be chicken feet monastery. Kukkutaram is Kukkutaram. You can't translate it. There are some Pali words you should not translate because it's a name of the temple. Now, do you call Jetavanaram Jeta's temple? Or you just say Jetavanaram temple. You can't translate it. Right? So then what we have to do is that don't be worried about these adjectives. They all mean a state of what you call akusala free, maybe kilesa free level. If the person has attained jhana before in previous life, I want to tell you, all of us must have attained jhanas in previous lives, but we may have expired from them. Will he or she has the inclination to practice jhana again in the maybe not. It depends. It depends on the conditions. If that person gets to what you call have any access to a jhana place, maybe some teachers, he or she may practice. Otherwise, he or she may not practice it. It means jhana is not necessarily, but because we must have become people who may have practiced jhana. I think most of us, all of us, we are humans now. We must have practiced jhanas in a previous life. But just because you have a jhana practice, it does not guarantee that you will be attaining, because these 4 requisites of becoming a Sotapanna are higher than becoming someone in a jhanas. Jhanas purpose is just to attain bliss, the Hindu practice initially. All right, last question. Okay, last question. I hope it's the last question. Yoniso Manasikara versus Samma Sati versus clear comprehension. It's a comprehension, should be, yeah? What are the differences? Okay. Yoniso Manasikara is the basic differentiation between akusala states and kusala states. Basic, primary differentiation. That means it is very essential, right? It's a primary differentiation. You can primarily look at, when you observe it primarily, in the first place, you're going to see, this is bad, this is good, so I could actually do this. That is at the Yoniso Manasikara. Samma Sati means when the Yoniso Manasikara has not been properly done, then akusalas are slowly arising. At that point, you are going to then be in certain activities. You may have your body activities, you may have your feeling activities, you may have thought activities. Then you are bringing certain other objects to look at those akusala. That is a bit what you call continued practice of sati. But if you have Yoniso Manasikara, you could have lessened the effect of that akusala. That's easier than going to a sati practice. Because in sati practice, you have to bring another object for the akusala state. You have to do the breathing and then to say you akusala. You have to go walk and then see you akusala. But if you have the Yoniso Manasikara, you immediately tap into the origin. I see the origin of akusala. I can stop the rising of akusala. So akusalas have been a little bit matured when you see it from the sati practice. Clear comprehension is something that you do with the sati practice. Clear comprehension means being able to see things from the 4 elements Chattaru Dhatu, Patavi Apo Tejju Vayu, solidity, then what you call uh, solidity, and then the water, then heat, motion, temperature levels. And then on the human side, on the living side, we can see them anybody from Panchakanda, Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara perspective. So clear comprehension and sati, they go together. But Yoniso Manasikara is the primary differentiation between kusala and akusala, which is most effective actually.